Hi, I'm Alex and welcome back to Dreams of Green. Today I wanted to talk to you about the best homesteading advice that no one actually tells you. And I've spoken to many other friends who have got properties and they all say the same thing. They wish they had have been told this one thing when they started. So just to give you a quick background, we moved from a suburban block to the 10 acres you can see behind me just over 3.5 years ago. We're here in Kyogle, northern New South Wales, Australia. And as many people I know did, we did the same. We went out, first thing we did is set up a huge veggie patch and got some chickens. And when I scrolled through YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, it seemed to be that's what you start with, right? Whereas what I found was here in Kyogle yesterday, so it's just the middle of September, early spring, it was 40 degrees Celsius, which is the equivalent, I think, of about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, you can see I've got a big jacket on. It's quite cool. And then a few years ago, when we first moved here, we had the worst bushfires in a long time in Australia and very severe drought, the worst on record. Then when the drought broke, we got the worst floods on record, and now we're back to drought conditions. So the biggest advice, start with your trees. This is how you build resilience into your system, even when you get these really extreme conditions, especially if you're relying on tank water, which we are here. Sometimes water can be really limited. And if you've got a drought, that veggie patch takes so much of this precious resource. Whereas if you're starting with kind of hardy fruit trees that really thrive in your area, even if you are away, even if you don't get time to water, if they're hardy and they're planted when you've got those rains, they're going to get you through these really extreme conditions. So to give you an idea, just what are we now? I planted the first trees probably 3 years ago. I went out and bought things like a few grafted avocados. I bought a Longan, what else did I get? Some Grummy Charmer. And the key one was the Mulberry tree, which was producing in its first year. So starting with these fruit trees, they've already got their roots down, they're established, and they're giving us food. So you'll see in another video I did, I've actually ripped out our beautiful veggie patch just because we didn't have enough water to keep up to it. So I'm rethinking the vegetable garden. So I'll take you on a tour now and just show you exactly what we're harvesting just after a short couple of years. And as I said, I really wish I'd poured my effort into planting these kind of straight away instead of putting all that effort into the veggie patch, when if I left it for a few months, you couldn't even tell that I'd been there in the first place because it was overtaken by this long grass you can see behind me. So let's go for a little tour and I'll show you what I've done. So I'm up in the home paddock now, which is where we planted our first fruit trees, which thank goodness, because this white mulberry, which you can see, I have done a video on how to propagate your own mulberry, by the way. I said this is the best investment I ever made. This is a white mulberry. I also have a dwarf black mulberry over there. So we were harvesting mulberries in our first year, and this tree, mulberries are just so diverse because even if we get frost, which we do, it'll survive because they're deciduous. They're a great fire break as well, coming into really dry weather now and hot weather. And also these, if I can show you, these beautiful white berries here, when they're ripe, taste like juicy vanilla. The leaves of the white mulberry are also edible. Super sweet. So white mulberry, fantastic tree to start with. And again, even if we have water shortages being on tank water, they're drought tolerant as well. So this will continue to thrive, and it's been planted in rock hard clay and seems to love it, which is my kind of tree. As I walk up the slope here, we also have, this is a Japanese Yuzu. So we got fantastic fruit off this, I think in its second year. It's just starting to flower now. Now the Japanese Yuzu tastes like a combination of between a grapefruit and a mandarin kind of lemon taste. Really, really delicious. They used to make the Japanese ponzu dressing actually. So we had yuzu. So citrus are a great thing to start with. We've got a pomegranate here, and this pomegranate, again, super tough, can tolerate drought and also frost. And where it was planted 3 years ago, so that one not flowering. I've got two different varieties. And what I discovered the other day, going for a bit of a wander, is, if I can get this in the camera, let's see, it's getting its first flower. So there's our first pomegranate flower after 3 years, and so I'm really looking forward to fruit. And I will have to do, once it fruits, I will do a video of how to propagate your own as well. So that's another great one. And then, where are we here? There's no fruit on this one at the moment, but this is a yellow cherry guava. So I've also done a video on this one of how to propagate your own. Again, super tough. And we were just getting so many fruit off that tree, I think in its second year. And this is the red, so a beautiful, you can use this as a hedging shrub as well. So this is the red strawberry guava. Again, really high in vitamin C and super tough, so drought and frost tolerant. And we've just collected so many fruit, and the tree was probably a couple of feet high when we bought it. So we were harvesting, I think, from year 1 with this particular one. So, but because we bought a slightly bigger tree. So those are some great, really tough ones to start with. And as I come down the hill here, Pigeon Pea. Pigeon Pea is another great one. I've also done a video on the Pigeon Pea, and we actually harvest these peas and use them in cooking as well. So the Pigeon Pea, really great one to have. Very drought tolerant. Ours have survived a light frost, and also with the Pigeon Pea you can use it as a chop and drop. We have lots over the chicken coop, which you might be able to see behind me now. And when the Pigeon Pea are ripe, they fall in, and the chickens absolutely love them. So it's free chook food as well. And I think it's really important to try and think about growing your own feed for your animals, because we've noticed since we've been here, the cost of chicken feed has gone up dramatically. So if you can grow your own, all the better. This one here is a Eureka lemon. I had this in a pot before we moved up here, and then planted it in the ground. So that's another one which has been fantastic, super tough, and these lemons are delicious. So if you can start with your citrus, you'll get great results. And the standout, let's have a look here. This is a Pithia lime as well, so great for curries. It's got the wrinkled skin, so we use the leaves in Asian cooking. And then if I come here, you will see this is a dwarf black mulberry. You'll see in one of my previous videos I show you how to propagate your own, and we stand under this tree, especially now that the temperatures, well, yesterday anyway, not so much today, have warmed up, and we will just stand with our stained purple fingers eating this fruit. And we have so many, we can't eat all of them. And someone asked me, how do you get the berries when the tree is this tall? So the great thing about the mulberry tree is the branches are really flexible. So what I do, if I want to harvest mulberries, let's say on this really tall branch, I will grab it low down, so like this. I'll follow the branch and bring the branch down in front of me like this, and then I can actually harvest all of these delicious berries. So that's how I harvest the mulberry. So I highly recommend the mulberry. And then what I'll do now is I'm going to take you, you'll see as well, this is just the nursery behind me. So I have so many fruit that have propagated from cuttings and seeds. We've got macadamia, mulberries, lychees, mangoes, strawberry guava. There's lots there. So I'm going to just walk out to the front as well, because I wanted to show you some of the other fruit trees that are already starting to come into fruit. You'll see here as we go along, I've planted citrus trees. all along the driveway. This was really hard soil to work with. There were conifers here that we ripped out. So this is a mandarin. All of that's flowering now. This is a blood orange, and you can see just how many flowers are on the blood orange, which is absolutely fantastic. And then this is a lemonade tree. Got lemonades coming on, and they do taste like lemonade. It's like a sweet lemon. So if you can find a lemonade tree, this, I don't know what it was with this tree. This produced in its first year. The tree's huge, and we just have had so many fruit off this. And especially if you've been working hard in the garden, you come up and it's just such a refreshing fruit. So I highly recommend lemonades. They've worked very well for us. And we've got an early orange and a late orange, so that way you spread your harvest as well. This is the little Maya lemon, so that's starting to flower now. They're looking a little bit stressed at the moment because it was such a shock to have that really hot weather yesterday. And then I think this was maybe the late orange that you can see here. And then we've also got the mandarin. So I think citrus are a great hardy investment to start with. And as I go out the front gate, so I tried to start, when I started the homesteading journey, I tried to start with basically the fruit trees close to the house first before, sorry, my cat is coming through the gate. So I started with fruit trees kind of close to the house before I started mapping out the rest of the property. So if we come up here, so just having a look. Okay, so I've planted macadamias. They haven't started producing. They'll take quite a few years. So this is our Brazilian cherry, and it has started flowering. This is the first year it started flowering. It's been in the ground probably 2 years. So again, since I planted this one, I haven't watered it. I haven't really done much to it at all. So we'll see how it copes with the dry now. But that's another one that we'll be getting fruit off. And I wanted to show you this one too. This here is a Longan. And you can see I actually have to bend down to take footage because this would be, I don't know, 2 feet tall. Yet we had our first crop of Longans last year. So you can see that's where we harvested the fruit. And then lower down, you can see all the new growth coming on, which is great. And if I come over here, we've got a Grummy Charmer, and I'm so excited because it's its first year. It is full of flower. So the Grummy Charmers have proven to be quite hardy. It's had light frost, and again, haven't watered it at all, although the conditions have been kind of above average in terms of the last couple of years. But when it was planted, it hardly got watered, and if at all, and it still was thriving. So that's a Grummy Charmer. And I've done a video on the guava. So the guava, we got fruit, I think, in its second year. So this is the guava. So they're quite fast growing. So the guava is a really great tough one to start off with. And then the mango. So the mango, this is its first year of flowering. So I've got a beautiful mango here. And you'll see I've done another video showing you how to propagate your own. So that's just a little example of just some of the fruit trees that have been star performers, and they are going to give us fruit for years and years to come, even if we do get, you know, those quite extreme temperatures. And the great thing is, even with these dry conditions predicted, they've had time to really get their roots down. So I'll probably come and mulch them with things like Pigeon Pea, which will fertilize them and conserve water at the same time. But yes, if I had have had any advice when I started out, it was to start with your trees first. They will give you abundance for years and years to come.